All right, it is 7 p.m. It's 7 p.m. We'll call the March 23rd meeting of the Hastings Planning Commission to order. Has everyone reviewed the minutes from the previous meeting? Any questions, feedback, changes? All right, we'll consider those approved. The first item of business is a public hearing. John, we'll turn this over to you.
Thank you. Planning Commissioners, tonight we've got an action on a piece of property located here. It's a little over 10 acres, located between 15th Street, 14th Street, west of O'Connell Drive. There's a proposal for a rezoning, preliminary plat, and final plat. I'll go through each of these actions individually. The actions that we ask tonight is that you hold a public hearing to get comment on the proposals tonight, and then take any action that you see necessary for recommendation. So what we have first of all is, let's look at the setting of the property here a little bit more. We've got the rezoning of the property, which would consist of rezoning this from agriculture, which it is right now, to what's termed R3. R3 would be this portion of the property going north. The property to the south here is being developed at what's termed an outlot, which means it's being held for future development. However, that future development is not determined. Since that determination has not been made, we're not recommending any rezoning at this point. We look at the rezoning when final determination is made there. So the rezoning to R3 PRD would be consistent with the rest of this development here. This is the Sunset West development, developed mostly within the early 1990s. This was meant to be a third phase of the development. Obviously, that didn't happen in a timely fashion. The developer today, Greg J. Holmes, is proposing a new development here, which would be single-family homes, about 26 lots altogether with the preliminary plat, with 14 lots going forward in the first phase, the final plat. So this is what the entire development would look like here under the preliminary plat. North is to the west here, to the left, so we've kind of turned this on its side. 15th Street's over here. This outlot B here is undetermined at this point and would stay agricultural as is. Future action would come forward with a public hearing and recommendation by the commission. And then we would have this Sunset Drive, which is a stub street off of O'Connell Drive, going into a cul-de-sac at this location with about 14 home sites located along this street. Outlot A here is a stormwater basin, and then the continuation of 14th Street West here with another 12 lots located here. At the end of 14th Street would be a temporary cul-de-sac, with 14th Street being developed further west in the future. There's no plan determined as to when that might happen, but we'll look at that in the future. So this is the preliminary plat of it. So this is the overall design of the development as we know of it today. What the developer is planning to do is to phase this into two phases. First one being this one, the Sunset Drive cul-de-sac. So the final plat would only be for the first 14 lots that we see here. This outlot C would be developed into future lots in the future that would come back before the Planning Commission for review of that one. So that's what we're looking at for the development itself. Our review of the development, when we look at the existing conditions, everything to the east of the development is zoned R3 right now, consistent with what's being developed here. These are single-family lots. The development over here is single-family lots, albeit the lot sizes are a little bit smaller on this one. They're designed to be more of a villa home type than a traditional single-family home type of lot on that. So we are recommending approval of the rezoning, albeit not for this portion down here. And bear in mind, on the plans that you received, there are some conceptual planning done on this outlot here for some sort of senior housing or apartment building in the future. We are not taking any credence into what is being constructed there or what might be constructed there, or any approvals that you're granting tonight or recommendations would not include anything that would give any approvals to development in this fashion. What we're going to do is in the future, come back, take a look at that holistically, have a public hearing, re-notify people of what that might be in the future. So essentially, when we look at the plans on this, what we're ignoring what's on there, we'll look at that in the future as it moves forward. The development is also on the edge of the city here. We've got the township to the west. We've got townhomes with Prairie Ridge to the north here. So the comprehensive plan designates this for a low-density development, which this falls within. It's low density under the comp plan is 3 to 6 units an acre. This is about 3.4. So it fits within there and fits within the zoning of the surrounding properties here. So we are recommending approval of that. When we're looking at the preliminary plat, and I'll go back to that here, we looked at the lot line layout of this one, thought that that was appropriate for what you could do. This is a piece of property here that is pretty limited as far as how it can be developed. The stub street comes off here into Sunset Drive, so we're comfortable with the cul-de-sac. It meets our maximum length requirements. And 14th Street going west, we want to be able to keep that available for future extension if we need to do so in the future there. So we are recommending that. With the lot layout itself, under the zoning, we've got lot sizes here. Under this district, there's a 5,000 square foot minimum lot size. The lot sizes here range from about 6,800 square feet up to about 16,000 square feet. So it does meet the minimum requirements of that. We're fine with the street layout. We are requesting that a pedestrian access from Sunset Drive be constructed to 15th Street to provide access there in the future. Landscape plan, we've looked at that, reviewed it, it meets our requirements. There are some significant trees on the site towards the west end of the development primarily, so we are looking for some modifications within the tree preservation plan to meet our requirements there. So our city engineer has taken a look at the grading, drainage, and erosion control plan and finds that that meets our requirements. There are going to be some specific additions that he'll need to make upon the final approval of the civil plans there. So we are recommending approval of the preliminary plat per the requirements in the staff report here. For the final plat, we're looking at a smaller portion of it with this one here. So with the preliminary plat, we will go through the grading plan review, the engineering review for everything. What we do with the final plat is this is what the lots will be subdivided in a particular phase. We essentially match the final plat to the preliminary plat and make sure that that is consistent, which this is here. The other things that come into play with the final plat is the official creation of lots, outlots, and stormwater drainage. So there would be a stormwater pond here that would be either the responsibility of an association that the developer would create, or the city would take that over. There's a couple of options that would need to be taken care of. Those would be memorialized through a development agreement that would be executed between the developer and the city on that. Also with park dedication, there's requirements at the final plat stage that be taken care of. Our Park and Recreation Commission did take a look at this a couple of years ago when they looked at another single-family development plat for this and recommended the payment of cash in lieu of land dedicated. So instead of a park being created in this subdivision here, there would be park fees paid for future park improvements in this development. And that would be a fee of about $50,000 altogether here for this phase. Other phases would have future payments of that. And I think that's most of what I had here as far as the review of the development goes. Again, we are recommending approval of the rezoning for most of the property, albeit Outlot B, and the approval of the preliminary plat and the final plat. This is a public hearing, so if you can open that up at this time, or I can stand for any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions right now from commissioners? Otherwise, we'll open the public hearing and then we'll ask for questions later. Any questions right away? Go ahead, Commissioner Voss.
You mentioned that you talked about possibility of villa-type homes. Is there anything about a PUD at all, or is it just standalone with no association dues? Or have they talked about that yet? Or
yeah, as far as the homeowners association goes, there would need to be one to take care of the cul-de-sac island here in Sunset Drive at a minimum. My understanding is the rest of the development, the lawn maintenance, driveway maintenance would be taken care of individually. So the only thing they're planning would be for that cul-de-sac island. I don't believe that they're looking to have ponding responsibilities be taken on by the association, but we have to make a final determination of that.
Questions, otherwise we'll open the public hearing and we'll have time to ask questions and discuss. All right, then we'll open the public hearing. If you would like to come up and make a statement, ask, share anything, you're invited to come up to the podium. We just ask that you state your name and your address and then share whatever you'd like to share with us.
Good evening. Teresa Oje, I'm at 1926 14th Street West. Thank you for what you do. It's not a surprise to me to hear of this development. I've been at a city council meeting not too long ago in which the city council had hired a firm to talk about the development of this area and extending all the way to Jacob and north of 55, etc. What surprises me is this is not what was presented at that time. Now, he didn't go into a lot of details, but these are much more in number of homes than we were led to believe. I live on 14th Street, and so there's only one way to get to these, and so you're going to have a lot of traffic that will come. My concern is that we want to think about how we expand our city. We have a huge water problem right now, and I would really like the city to make that its focus. We're talking about a potential water treatment plant in this vicinity also, just in the neighborhood. So aesthetically, we want to make sure that it's appealing to future buyers, and I think that should be settled before any decisions made on this. And that's being done over by C's property there, which is just off of 15th. And they're not the prettiest. The other thing I want you to think about is as we expand the city, we also have to think of the cost it's going to take to hire additional firefighters and police so that our ratio stays, that we can make sure we're being public safety for those entities as well. And lastly, while I'm not opposed to expanding, you look at the lots and they're almost 2 homes to the size of what we currently have on 14th Street. That's a lot. That's really big. You go from these big homes or big spaces, and now you have them really close together. So aesthetically, a lot of traffic there, a lot of concern, and then the water, the pressure, all of that is a concern. So thank you.
I'm Alan Schmaltz, 1420 O'Connell Drive in Hastings. I guess first I just want a point of clarity, maybe it's just my ignorance, but in like 2024, maybe it was the end of 2024, there was a public survey that was sent out, and this area was originally talked about. I think it was the one that you were citing. It was talked about single-family homes, and then it extended all the way out to Jacob, like she was saying. But the zoning, the rezoning to R3, can you explain the difference between R3 and R2 and R1? So if the proposal is for single-family homes, the outlot B is going to be for future use, but the proposal right now changes it to R3. Why not go to R1 or R2? Because maybe I don't understand it correctly, but is R3 like you could put apartments, townhomes, and all that on there? I'm wondering. We're looking for some clarification on the different zoning.
I can help answer that one here. The R3 zoning can be a mixture of things. Single family development, in larger developments, it may have apartments on there too. The R3 zoning designation is the exact same zoning designation as the single-family homes to the east of there. When that was developed in the 1990s, it was developed as single-family with some twin homes along Seton Court. So because of those combinations on there, that area was zoned R3. And then the area to the north of it, which is townhomes, the stuff that's just south of Highway 55 is zoned the same way as well. What the R3 district does is it caps the number of units you can have as density. So you wouldn't be able to put, a large apartment complex within here. Within Outlot B itself, if that was to be rezoned R3, which we are not recommending today, then that might be another 25 or so on that one. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Okay, so the current, 14th and then O'Connell Drive, and those are all already zoned R3?
Correct.
Okay, that helps. And then to the point of the park, the cash in lieu of a park. So again, back to that survey, that public survey that was put out, it showed a park in that area, and we've had residents that have talked about there's no park. The city prides itself in parks and having a lot of access to parks in different areas, and currently there's no parks at all on the west side of General Sieben. You have to cross General Sieben to get to a park. So cash in lieu of a park doesn't really help the citizens that are west of General Sieben. So that's something that I'd like the Planning Commission to think about when you're making this decision. And I'm probably missing some things, and I'll sit down and think about it. So.
And I could comment a little bit on the park too. When we have our Park and Recreation Commission that makes recommendation on whether a park should be situated or cash in lieu of land should be paid. And they took a look at this subdivision in an earlier form about 3 years ago with about maybe 50 homes on it at that time, and recommended that cash in lieu. One of the reasons for that is we have on our comprehensive plan identifications of where future park locations would be. And not on this property, but just to the west of it in the township, we do have a location for a park in the future. So when the land west of this develops, the thought is we would put a neighborhood park in at that time. And so the commission was asked, well, should we put it in this location or should we wait? The thought that the Park Commission had at that point was the area to the west will be a larger parcel, so we could have a better park over there as opposed to this 10-acre parcel. So that was kind of the rationale for their decision.
Is there anyone else who'd like to comment?
Hi there, Sarah Thompson. I'm at 1952 14th Street West. Can you give me an understanding of what these homes are going to look like? Will they be on slabs? Will they be 2 stories? Are we going to have the same kind of square footage that we're currently at based off of the houses on that west side of town?
I would ask the developer to address that question. I think I saw him come in here. There he is.
And we'll, if you have more to say, we'll let you answer that question, but if you have more, you're welcome to share more comments after he answers that question. I just don't want you to think that your time is done, so.
Sure, and then this is another question for you too. What's the intent of the properties? Are they intended to be rental homes, or are they intended to, okay, and then timing wise? So when will phase 1 be started and expected to be completed? When would phase 2 be started and expected to be completed? And then I'll ask more questions.
And then if you can please state your name and address as well.
I'm Nick with Greg J. Homes. We're at 3475 Vermillion Street. We intend these to be villa homes. Some may have a basement, some may not. Some will be on slab. They will be slightly larger than some of the villas we build now. The plans are actually able to be seen on our website. They are for sale, not for rent, and they definitely match the quality and kind of consistency of the neighborhood, definitely trying to not stand out, let's put it that way. As far as starting construction, we are looking at construction this year if this goes forward, so potential street construction, home construction could be late this year into next year. And then the rental question, John, did I catch them all?
Yeah, I'm just curious about square footage, price range, anything you might be able to share on that.
So with the land cost up here, I think the price range is gonna be in the mid 500s starting. So we're definitely, you know, with these lots being larger and on prime location, that we figure they're not going to be starter type things. They're going to definitely be in that mid-range, you know, villa kind of mentality.
And phase 2, when do you expect that to happen?
We don't actually have a plan for phase 2. That will follow phase 1. This could be a couple 3-year project for us. We don't build a huge amount of houses a year.
Phase 2 is outlet C.
Phase 2 would be outlot C, and
Outlot
phase 3 would be outlot B. They could both happen at the same time. We don't know that yet.
When are you gonna know?
That will depend on the market. So
And then-
we could have somebody that came to us and wants more. This could sell out really quickly. It could sell out, it could take time.
And
And
then
really
if you,
don't know.
excuse me, if you have more questions, we invite, because we love everyone, this is also on Zoom, to come up to the podium, state your name, address, ask your questions, okay? Thank you so much. So you'll have a chance in just a moment.
My name is Bob Hofstad. I live at 1938 14th Street West. I have a lot of the same concerns as the others, but one in particular is water pressure. Just over 5 years ago, I moved from a block west of Pleasant Drive to a block west of Sieben Drive. And when I called the city concerned about the low water pressure, I was told, oh, but your elevation went up over 100 feet from where you used to live to where you moved into. And I was looking at the city elevations, and what I can tell is less than 50 feet elevation. And so water pressure is a concern with all the additional houses being put in, even though there's been talk about another water tower. And I'm sure there must be, it's not just gravity flow, there's some pressurized system that is involved in the water pressure. But it hasn't changed. I think I'm just getting used to the water pressure we have. So, thank you.
And does anyone else want to come back up?
Again, Sarah Thompson, 1952 14th Street West. I will mimic the water pressure issues. About 5 years ago, our water stopped mid-use with the challenges that we had. So water pressure is definitely a concern. Traffic is a concern when you're adding a ton more cars on that narrow street. There's young children in that area. People speed like crazy. What is the intent at the end of 14th Street once we complete this outlot C to extend it? Are you extending it all the way to Jacob? Is that the goal?
Yeah, I'm not sure how far 14th Street would extend, if it would go all the way to Jacob Avenue or where it would go. We did want to provide an access point to future development west of this, but I'm not sure how far it would go from that point.
Okay. And if you look back to the 2040 Comprehension Plan survey that we were asked to review and to submit feedback on, this original lot had an exit on 15th Street, but there were dead ends throughout the rest of that outlot. So why did that change from where we were at now to these higher density homes? Originally, it was supposed to be 41 homes planned when we were all surveyed.
The developer had a modification in this for what is being shown today. I think when he came forward with the plan a couple of years ago, I don't think it went very far down. I didn't even think it got to this point of going to planning commission at that point.
So, correct, I don't know anything about how this works. So when we were all surveyed and asked those questions, we provided feedback. And now, how does that get amended, the 2040 plan get amended so that it changes to this when we all were under the expectation that it was to look like the 41 homes on that 10-acre lot without any kind of thoroughfare on 14th Street?
And I'm confused by the survey. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because
The city of Hastings sent out a survey in August or through December of 2024, asked for feedback for the whole expansion of that 2040 comprehension plan, going through and looking at high, medium, low densities
that-
plus industrial.
Okay, was that looking kind of in the area of Highway 55, Jacob Avenue, more broader than this property?
Oh, very much so, yes.
Okay.
Yes, so when you look at the individual outlot that's sectioned here, it was designated or surveyed to be low density, 41 homes was the plan, and it connected at Sunset and 14th Street, but it exited at 15th Street.
Yeah.
So there was not, 14 was not to be a thoroughfare, where it was supposed to be large lots that fit the same aesthetics that we currently have in our neighborhood.
That's what was presented at the city council meeting.
Got it, yeah, okay, now I know, familiar with what you're speaking of now, yes, it was that Highway 55 and Jacob plan that we were doing independent of any other development there. We had our consultant provide some conceptual plans of how property could develop, but there wasn't based upon any specific plan at that point. So understand your concerns about 14th Street going through there and the traffic that would go in, and then the unknown aspect of that as we go west of this development.
So, and again, I apologize, help me understand, how does that change? I know it was a preliminary plan, but going from that to where we're at now, does that mean the rest of the plan that we were all shared as a community is going to change as well as a bigger picture?
What that plan was mostly looking at the density of development, not getting down to the fine grain of where streets would go and where streets would end. It would basically be, should this be low density, high density, commercial, industrial, parks, that sort of thing. That was the basis of that plan. Not getting into the, excuse me, the fine grained development of how streets and lots are going to be developed. And this still falls under that low density.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who had a comment to share or feedback? Was there anyone else who wanted to speak at the public hearing? All right, is there anyone on Zoom, John? Okay. All right, then hearing no further, anyone indicating that they'd like to speak, we'll close the public hearing and then open it up to discussion among commission members. Commissioner Moss?
So has the city engineers looked at the capabilities for water and sewer in that vicinity, to whether or not they feel that the current systems can handle that increased density?
Commissioner, as far as the capacity of water and sewer in that area, yes, it does have the capacity. The issues that were brought up tonight about the pressure, especially in the water, I have heard that in areas in this vicinity that there have been issues with that. That is something that I will check in further with them to see how this would affect existing development on there. Because I know from areas that we're looking at developing further west and north of here, that was a concern that was brought up by our engineers.
And then, John, I had a question. You've given some of the feedback and comments about traffic in the area. Is this the type of development that would have required a traffic study? And if so, was one conducted or will be conducted?
The development here would not meet the requirements for a traffic study. The total amount of lots that would be going in here would be 26. Usually we're not going to get into a traffic study for a development unless it's going to be 100 or more units on that one. So no, none required and none conducted on this one.
And then just also to aid in my understanding, I remember when we were looking at that Jacob Avenue Highway 55 plan, and we did discuss the park aspect. There would be a park that would eventually go in within the proximity of this development as development would expand to the west. Is that
correct?
Okay.
Yeah, that's our plan, is that when property would develop further west of this, and we don't have a time frame for when that would occur at this point. It'd all be based upon developer desire and current owner desire to sell the property for that. But that's our plan.
Commissioner Sweeney?
On a similar vein as Commissioner Peters, if they were to not have a cash offering for the park dedication and instead it was a land offering, how much of this 10-acre lot would actually be a land donation? Like how much park land are we losing out? on if this was instead a land thing instead of cash?
Maybe an acre. So you take a look at an acre park, which is a very tiny park, as opposed to if you had a larger development and you could do a neighborhood park of about 5 acres, which I think is typically what we like to see.
Commissioner DePalma?
I was wondering if I could ask this of the developer. It would be very helpful if you would, for the audience, do you have any photos or pictures of what these homes will look like so they can imagine that? And then you mentioned the price point that you're looking at. Is there a particular audience of persons or families that you're looking at for this type of development?
I wouldn't say we have a particular age group or audience. The folks that are going to be looking at what we're building here are usually in the second half of their lives. This is not usually a younger buyer, but it could be. We don't know that. It certainly could be. Depends on your lifestyle. John, do we have any of that available on this? That I can go to our website? Or do you have photos of what we said
I
today?
think so. Let me just take a look here for a second. Let's just go. Let's see if we can just put it on there. See how that goes. Oh, yours.
Thank you. So this is one of our artist renderings of, obviously based on our landscape plan. This is the type of homes that we're looking at. Generally one-level Rambler type homes. The one on the right is 1,860 square feet. The one on the left is just over 2,000 if it's fully built out. So they're not small homes. But as far as visibility and design, that's what we're at. I'll leave that up, John.
Okay, thanks.
Any other comments or feedback from the commissioners? And just to make sure that all of us are under the same understanding, we're looking at the rezoning of this area by the recommendation of staff, excluding Outlot B. And then we're looking at the preliminary plat and final plat. And as our role as Planning Commission, does it meet all of the requirements? Does it follow the comprehensive plan? Does it, is it zoned properly? And then this will go forward, presumably to the city council with either our recommendation or not. And then John, at that point, is there another opportunity for a public hearing?
This would be the public hearing here.
Okay.
So at city council, it would be a public item that they would have. It would really be up to the discretion of the mayor at that point, whether she would take any comments at that point.
Any other comments or discussion from the commission? Commissioner Spadine?
So I know 10 acres is not a huge area, so I'm assuming that this did not mandate an environmental impact report. But generally for this area, is adding something like 26 houses going to affect the environment in the area? Like, is that going to be detrimental in any way? Do we know, or do we have any context for that?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're going to be developing a piece of property, there's certainly going to be impacts within it here. When we take a look from a city planning standpoint, really take a look at, the roads that are going to be going in here, traffic patterns, and the number of homes and the density, how many homes per acre would there be in this. The amount of streets that would be going in this development are pretty minimal. The amount of homes that would be going in here would be about 3.4 per acre. What that means to most people is that's generally a single family density. This would be about the same type of development as you'd see at that development near Northridge Drive and Pleasant Drive that went in, where they had a lot of these type of homes that went in. I think that would be a very comparable type of development from what I've seen here as to what was put in there. From a market standpoint, we don't really get into the market of how much a home would be worth. That's beyond our purview as a planning commission on that one. I know from a market standpoint, there always seems to be a desire for more slab on grade, single level living, from what I've heard from individuals that are looking for that in the market.
Any other comments or discussion? Or if we're ready to put forth a motion, we can treat this as a single motion or multiple motions to address the rezoning in one and the preliminary and final plat in another. Commissioner,
Can I make a request to separate the motions, please?
or you can just make a motion.
Can I make a motion to approve the rezoning of, goodness, sorry, Sunset Hills rezoning plat? I would like to approve the rezoning of the plat, or the area, to R3,
And are you including or excluding Outlet B?
excluding Outlet B.
Okay.
Sorry.
So there's a motion to rezone the Sunset Hills area from agriculture to R3, excluding Outlet B. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Mose. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, then the part that's remaining is regarding the plat. Commissioner Mose? Oh, just turn it off, okay. Is there anyone who'd like to make a motion? Commissioner Mose, did you turn?
Yeah, I guess I'll maybe we'll just take them one at a time. Then I'll move to approve the preliminary plat of that would be Lot B. Was that right? No.
It would be Sunset Hills, preliminary plat of Sunset Hills, a replat of Lot C, Sunset West.
C. Okay, Lot C. Okay. Thank you. And then with any recommendations, I'd also like to, subject to a review by the city engineers regarding water pressure and that type of thing.
All right, so you're just looking at the preliminary plat, subject to review.
Well, I guess that would have to be on the final plat.
Yep.
Thank you.
I guess that would have to be on the final plat. So why don't we just go with the preliminary plat first, and then we'll.
Okay.
I
So
can
there's
answer.
a motion to approve the preliminary plat with staff recommendations as outlined in Sunset Hills number 2026-07. Is there a second to that?
I will second.
So Commissioner Smadine seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Oops, sorry. Let's try that again. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, so we've, now we're at the final plat. So is there anyone who wants to make a motion regarding the final plat? Commissioner Spadine?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the conditions on the final plat to be subject to a review of utility usage, and especially concerning the water issues brought up tonight by city engineers.
I think we can just add that as a condition. So if you wanna,
What's that?
Do we have to make a motion to amend it or no?
just,
This is the original motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
you just make,
Okay.
You're all good.
Sorry, so then I would like to make a motion to approve the final plat of Sunset Hills, what, you said 2026-07, final plat with the recommendations from city staff, in addition to add a review of city engineers for the utilities, especially the water, that is going to be feasible and not affect the current residents nearby.
all right, so there's a motion to approve the final plat, 2026-07 with staff recommendations and an additional condition to review utility usage, specifically water in the area. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Commissioner Mose seconds. All right, all in favor of the final plat 2026-07 with staff recommendations and also city engineer review of utility, specifically water usage. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries.
And Commissioners, this recommendation will be brought forward to the City Council for their action at the April 6th City Council meeting.
Thank you everyone for your comments and for attending tonight. Other actions, were there other business tonight?
Nope, I had no other business here. I know our next Planning Commission meeting coming up here is on April 13th. We've got a 5-Monday month this month, so it'll be a little bit of time. We may have a couple of things that may land for that one, so I think we will be holding it, but we'll let you know as I get closer to it. From the meeting we had last month on Pleasant Valley Farms, still working on that project. No applications have officially come forward with it. However, we are working on some of the annexation details of that, which will require some meetings and some action by Ninninger Township as well as our council. So that continues to move forward, albeit we don't have an application yet for it. And I think that's all I have.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Someone want to adjourn? Commissioner DePalma? So we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Mose. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.